shape. Okay, we're recording. Thank you so much. Anyway, so one of my current projects has been to create, it's actually in Google Drive, a grid of pieces that are cognates for pieces we all know as teachers and as piano students that are all by men, because that's what standard rep is pieces by men, right? And come up with pieces by women that are cognates, so that when we have a student that we think is ready for the Chopin Prelude in D flat major, we can also offer the Etude in D flat major by Louise Ferenc, opus 41, number 5, I believe it is. And it has a similar form and it's a gorgeous piece. So we have, it's not that we want to say you can't play Chopin, but we want to offer pieces by women that are cognates to the pieces that are by men, okay? But there are a couple pieces that there aren't cognates for. And these are standard pieces to teach. One of them is, I better share screen. Here we go, and share sound, and share, and go. We're going to go to this one first. How many of you know or have played solfeggiato by C.P.E. Bach, one of Bach's sons? Yes, we have a couple people who have, right? It's in C minor and it has broken chords and it has scales. It's kind of cool. It's in C minor. Mine is not in C minor, but I've often had students when they finish that piece, they want another piece like it. And there isn't, except now there is. So tell me if you can hear this. No. So I'm hearing it in my headphones. Let me try not my headphones. It's not through the speakers here. Do you know how to make it go through the speakers here?
Yes.
Yes.
Open up your sound
right
option.
Here, sound.
Yeah, that is the HDMI. Oh, it says mute right here.
Oh, now let's see.
Laptop, HDMI. You have sound in MuseScore as like an option in there.
I don't think so. When I did stuff early on today, didn't you hear it over the speakers? And I changed nothing.
Maybe because your headphones are on?
They aren't now.
Oh.
Yeah, no.
What about one last thing? You in Zoom, what did your sound say for Zoom?
Yes, look in Zoom. Right. Did by accident. Give me my options of sound. Here. Here.
Yeah, try
this one. Is this the one or is it this one?
I think that's the same. Yeah, see if that works.
Okay, let's try this.
Nope.
We'll try the other one. You're just hearing it from my computer, though, not from the speakers.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, preferences. I/O. Yeah.
See, this is my Microsoft Sound Mapper. That isn't what we wanted, is it?
API.
Correct sound? If you know how to do this, sorry, but
All right. Yeah,
this one?
sure.
Oops, and I have to.
Well, that was
Say,
out of the
okay.
speakers.
Did you hear that out of the speakers? Edit preferences, IO. It was MME, right?
It was. Yeah.
Let's try WDM. No, that's.
You know what you could also do? You could export the MuseScore file as an audio file.
Oh, yeah, I already have that
and
as an
then
MP3.
it's an
Right?
MP3, and then perhaps you play that while we follow along in the tour.
Let's just see if that works. I already exported it. We don't have to wait for that. Hallelujah. Are you ready? Okay. And I don't think anybody else is trying to get in right now. Thank you, Eric. So here is solfeggio. Starts with a major seventh chord, goes through about 9 different major keys and 1 minor key, and does even have a minor major seventh chord. And there you have it. So these have been kind of fun to do. I also did one that is a takeoff of Muller's Ballade in C minor. Mine is harder than his. And those of you who've played that piece, it has mostly C minor chords in the right hand and melody in the left hand, and then a contrasting B section, which is in C major in his piece. Mine is in F minor. So I'm not doing a template thing. I'm doing a similar starting point. Then I write what I want to hear, if that makes sense. And surprisingly to me, this one is more popular with my students want to learn this one. Go figure. Playing. Come on back. Play. So that's one of my current projects, and I am working on now one that takes longer because solfeggio I thought of in my head while I was walking across the Mississippi River to go to work. When I got there, I started madly writing down the notes in between lessons. And at the end of the day, I had it done, even though I was teaching quite a lot. And similar thing with this solfeggio, no, Study in Scarlet and Peacock. The hardest thing was coming up with a title. And I had help saying, so it is a reference to Clue. It sounds kind of, one of those sort of things, without being a trademark infringement, I don't think, Scarlet and Peacock are colors that don't belong to Clue. If I'd said study of Miss Scarlet and Miss Peacock, it would be different, right? What I'm currently doing is for yet another piece that students always want to play another one of, which is the Mozart Fantasy in D minor. And that is an opera for the piano, an operetta for the piano, right? You have the opening scene, and then you have an aria, and then you have a bad guy come in, and then you have these wild runs that are way easier to play than they sound. How many of you have played this piece? They are, right? So I'm writing something along those lines. It doesn't follow the form entirely, and this is not a one-day piece to write, unlike these other ones. This has been kind of fun because I find composing tonal music is really quite easy, and it's not what I normally do. I usually write rather kind of crazy stuff that changes meter a lot and isn't finicky. So the next piece I'm going to show you, I did finish. Where are we at? We're okay on time. And I do want to export the sound file because this one I do not have a sound file of. So while I do that, because that takes a moment, I'll tell you about it. And this is a direct result of the pandemic. So during the pandemic, I signed up for live streaming, and watching videos of productions from Stratford, Ontario, which is a Shakespeare festival, and watched Hamlet, which was very good, and King John, and Antony and Cleopatra, and Tempest, and all of these different things. But then they had this modern thing that they did, and at the end of it, there were these music credits, and the name went, "Is that the Jan Owens I knew as an undergraduate at Michigan State?" So then I put on my PhD research capabilities and attempted to find, is this Jan Owens? Does she live in Ontario, Canada? I found a trio featuring a trombonist named Jan Owens, who indeed is my friend, and a pianist and a clarinetist. And the clarinetist does some composing for them, not anyone that I know. The contact was the pianist, and I wrote to the pianist and said, please forward this message to Jan, because I think she's someone I knew decades ago. And indeed it was. And then we got to talking, and I said, what might you like for me to write for you?
I'd like to introduce you to our guest composer. Many of you here.
Randall?
Yeah.
We're in our salon right now.
Yep.
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 Yep. So you were just interrupting me?
Sorry.
Thanks. Okay. I don't know. He's here in spirit, in voice.
I'm here.
Sound. You're
I'm
here.
Disturbed Randall.
Oh, there he is. Randall. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So anyway, I asked her if she'd like me to write a piece for her. And she said, well, we have a brass quintet here at Stratford, and we play on the days that theater is dark. And I had been thinking for a long time that I'd like to write Hamlet's soliloquy as a piece. It started with 2 B flats because it's 2B. Musicians know that B in music is B flat, correct? And then the next part has no B flats in it, right? Or not to be. I actually did a rhythmic representation of the entire soliloquy. And then there's a brief fugue at the end because Hamlet is in a fugue state. Wouldn't you say?
Oh,
Aw,
oh.
aw, Randall likes that. And sent it to the trombonist. She had given me one bit of information that I didn't know about the trombone before. She said she's got zillions of trombones, and one note that's hard for her to play, I believe, is B natural below the cello C. That one note. I didn't know that before. You know, I looked through orchestration books. So you find out something new every time you work with different people. And then there was one place she had me change, which I believe I did. Now I gotta find it's the first thing. If you want something to show up on top, you put a 1 or an A or something on it. And we have an MP3 here. Yay. Are you ready to hear it? I'd give the trumpet a solo. And the trombonist I sent it to, she liked it very much. I had to move 2 measures up an octave, and that was the only change she asked for. Yes, Anthony.
What tempo was it in?
Tempo. Let me go back to the beginning. It's easier to do if I move this thingy. 60. Other questions? Kevin?
So the entire piece is basically like rhythmical adaptation of like the way speaking actual song.
Yes. I'll show you. Hamlet's soliloquy. And I have liked in the past setting text with no words. I think it has interesting, it gets me interesting places. And look at how long this thing is. It took several days, you can tell. And different people got different parts of the text. Very little of it has echoing or repetition until you get to the little fugue part. You knew when you were there, didn't you? Because you heard the 2 B flats again, correct? And the hardest part to set was, who would Fardels bear? And I wrote down what that meant. Then there's this lovely line, the undiscovered country, the dread of something after death, the undiscovered country. How many of you have seen the Star Trek movie, The Undiscovered Country? My favorite one, actually. I don't know if you are Star Trek fans here. I am. There's some interesting words in here. And at some point I thought, do I really need to do it all? And I figured out I did. Did you notice how much it matters to have silence? Little ones, big ones. Did you notice how big a difference it makes if you have the tuba or you don't have the tuba? If you had the tuba the whole time, it would be unremarkable. Same thing with bass, right, Jordan? If the bass is always playing, it's totally unremarkable. But if you don't have the bass or the tuba, which is the bass of the brass, playing, when they come in, it's like, oh, wow, that's so great. And trumpets are also very much in the forefront if they're playing. So if you cut them out, when they come back in, it's sweeter. And why would I bring that up with you right now, today, Monday of Junior Composers Institute? You suppose? Anthony?
So you can give us ideas so that, because the theme today is generate, so you can give us ideas for our pieces.
Well, and when you're writing for more than one instrument, be thinking, I don't have to use them all the time, right? Timbres are colors. If you use all the colors all the time, it's a beautiful rainbow all the time. None of them get highlighted. Make sense? Any questions? Because I want to let Jordyn come on up and do her stuff. I'm excited to hear what she's got. Yeah? You can ask me questions later too, if you want. I will stop my share and make you host. You are now the host. So come on up. And here's
little switcheroo.
switcheroo time.
All right, everybody. Can we give Sarah a round of applause? Really great to get to hear a bit of Sarah's music and learn a little bit about her process. For those of you who don't know me, or I didn't really get a chance to like fully introduce myself yesterday, but my musical background is primarily in jazz. But I did my undergrad at the same school that Sarah went to at Michigan State University in
Green.
go white, in okay, so I have 3 degrees from there. We were just talking about this. So my 2 undergrad degrees are in composition and jazz studies, and then my master's degree is in jazz studies. But I'm also a singer-songwriter and a lyricist. And so I think today what I want to do is share 3 pieces of music with you. What I really don't like, I think I was talking about this a little bit earlier, is, even though I have a degree in composition and I fully identify as a composer, I really, really hate notated music. And I'm just going to be honest about that. I don't think it's the most effective form of communication musically. And like the notated music is not the music comes from the people. So that's where my current qualm with it is now, but that, it'll probably change over time and look a little bit different over time. But what I want to do is share, like I said, 3 different pieces of music with you. One of them is going to be a piece for large jazz ensemble, so a big band. And we'll actually, instead of following along with a score, because I'm really, really horrible at that, we're just going to watch the video of the ensemble performing it. The second piece we'll listen to, we're not going to listen to the whole piece because it's a work in progress. I want to show you something that I am in the midst of working on. It is a wind ensemble piece called Waves, and it probably will be an experience to listen to the MIDI. And then the final piece I want to listen to is another thing I have a work in progress. It's a song called Night Off. So you'll get the opportunity to check out the lyrics. There's no score for it, but we'll listen to just the audio recording. And yeah, again, if you have any questions at any point in time, just throw them in the chat, raise your hand. And yeah, we'll get into some music. So the first piece I'm going to share with you is called Still I Rise. It's an original composition I wrote inspired by a Maya Angelou poem called Still I Rise. And this is actually the last piece that I had written and performed right before the pandemic. So this was performed in January of 2020. And it features two soloists who you'll see in the front in a moment. One of them is a trombonist, and her name is Robin Smith. And the tenor saxophonist, which if anybody here is super into jazz, there's a all female identifying kind of like jazz supergroup that exists right now called Artemis. And they're signed to Blue Note. And I'm lucky to know all of the women in the ensemble. And actually the current tenor saxophonist in the group, her name is Nicole Glover, and she's featured on this. So let's check it out.
International debut of Jordyn Davis' composition, composed.
How do we fix this feedback?
Especially as these musicians
Oh.
My bad, y'all. I gotta share the screen. My bad. I forgot we were on Zoom. Okay. Sorry, y'all. I keep forgetting we are on Zoom. I'm so sorry. Okay. That's what you were saying. You're muted. Okay, so as you can see, like I said, for the Zoom folks who didn't hear me, I do not write for instruments, I write for people. And this particular piece was a commission for the ensemble that you just saw play, which is one of the Michigan State jazz orchestras. And something else that I was saying is that, you know, I adapted this philosophy of writing for people versus the instruments as an inspiration of like being inspired by, the composer Duke Ellington. And if you know anything about Duke Ellington, like that was primarily what he did in his own big band. So yes, this is a big band piece. So I thought it was most appropriate to make sure that we had the individuals' names included on the score and they had their own lines. And really, like, also the members of the ensemble, like I know all of those people. So while all of their names are not on the score, like I was still taking into consideration what their strengths are going to be in the context of this concert, how we can incorporate them into the piece. So we had this intro. And this is kind of like the section where the groove comes in. And for those of you who don't know what that groove was called, like it's called a poinciana. So like it was kind of this like weird kind of like mallet muted type of I don't know, like low-key swing vibe. It's called poinciana. So you indicate that in the score. As we move on, as you can see, for those of us who have not seen a big band score, seen any types of charts or anything for jazz, down here we have all the chord changes above and like the slashes, which gives the opportunity for the players to fill in the rhythms, and improvise and add their own individual voices in. But they have, the limitation of the harmony per that bar. So that happens across the board in a lot of different pieces, or a lot of different parts of the piece. So if we get to, okay, this is all the melody. And then this is the solo section. So like, if you're ever writing for any type of jazz ensemble, or you see a jazz chart and it's just all of this, this is like the solo section where everybody is essentially collectively improvising based on the same parameters. So the parts where we heard Robin on trombone playing by herself, she was playing over this section. Nicole, when she was playing by herself, this was over this section. And then also when Nicole was playing, there's these things called backgrounds, which is kind of like the background vocal or like the background melodies that are happening in response to what she's playing. So those exist, the saxophones do it first and then the trombones do it then. And there's also this section here. There's like a guitar solo that's happening at F. And then this goes back into the melody and the coda. So yeah, that's how I like to do my big band scores. Everybody kind of does their own different thing. And like, I like to use a specific type of font and have it really spatially clear, because it's already hard enough like managing a large ensemble score. So just like trying to keep things as clean and concise as possible is my motto. Okay, next, let's check out this wind ensemble madness. Okay, so we're not going to listen to this whole piece by any means, because this is very much so a work in progress. This is a piece that I started writing in April of 2020. And this was a commission for the Sister Survivors of Michigan State University. If you folks know anything about the physician who was abusing a lot of gymnasts and just young girls in general, like hundreds of young women who trusted this physician to take care of them, and he was affiliated with Michigan State. So there's like a collective of survivors. They decided to call themselves the Sister Survivors. And through a collaboration between them and the music fraternities at Michigan State, they commissioned me to write this piece of healing music in honor of them. This has not been premiered. It has not been performed because it is a hot mess. And this is my first wind ensemble piece also, which I'm sure you will be able to hear in the parts that we listen to. But what I will say is like writing for large ensemble is mostly about staying organized, and also just like not, just like understanding and appreciating not having to use all voices at the same time. I think you were kind of talking about that a little bit earlier, and that, you definitely want to have the trade-off of high timbres versus low timbres, entering and exiting, and that sort of thing. So we can try to listen to some of this. I'm not apologizing for this because I'm sorry, I don't like to use the word hate either, but what I don't want you all to do when you are sharing your music is to apologize for your music before you play it. So I'm not apologizing for my piece. What I'm doing is being transparent with you about where I am in the process. So I think it's still a great piece of music. It has a lot of potential, but it is a work in progress. So let's listen to some parts of this. Let's see. We'll start at E. E is, and I'm not exactly sure if you can even really see the score super well, just because it is so big, but here we are. Are you gonna play, girl? Wow. You want to be shy now, Finale, because we're on Zoom? This literally worked 5 seconds ago. Okay, well, we all know how great Finale is and how great all of our notation softwares are. Maybe this is a sign. Maybe we don't need to listen to it. But you can at least see, a lot of different cool things. I'll show you one really cool, my favorite page in the whole piece, and then we'll listen to one more piece of music. And I'll stop talking at you for a while. But this particular page right here is my favorite. Earlier in my session on composition and improvisation, we were talking about, using source material or using a piece of music or a melody and kind of making it your own. This is from, well, it's not from, I didn't just copy and paste this into my piece, but I used the shape of one of the main motifs in I can't exactly, it's like Daphne is one of Maurice Ravel pieces for large ensemble. And I'm super, like, Maurice Ravel is like my just, like everything. So I was really inspired by this kind of like really weird shape here. And then, dissected it a bit and broke it up. And this sounds really, really cool. This is probably one of the only things that sounds cool in this right now. But, next year, maybe I'll have a actual recording of this to share with you and we can hear what it sounds like. Yeah.
I'm really curious. I'm just speaking from, I'm just looking at the score. I'm just curious. How easy is it for me when people to read out the triangles? And I'm seeing like margins go up, that. Or is it kind of solve free kind of do it?
Yeah, it's more of a gesture than it is play these exact notes.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's a great question. And it's something actually in this trumpet part that'll actually probably get broken up because there's no way that a trumpet player is just going to do this without breathing. So this will probably end up being like really small segmented phrases that'll be flurried throughout the ensemble once I get my life together. So do not trust my Finale to cooperate, but maybe I can do that while we listen to the other one. Cool. All right. Okay. So we'll come back to this. I'm going to pull up the lyrics for this song. Maybe we need to make them a little bit bigger. Okay. Oops. Okay. So this is like a 5-minute short little ditty. But this song is called Night Off. I wrote this and the lyrics to this song in 2019, but did not do this recording until December of 2021. Actually had a mixing session this morning. So this is also a piece that's a work in progress. And we are just going to listen to basically the last kind of produced version of this song. And the instrumentation for it is jazz nonet. So it's 5 horns, so trumpet, trombone, 3 saxophones, guitar, bass, drums, piano. So if you want to understand, I feel like my diction's pretty good, so you should be able to understand what I'm saying, but just in case you want to see the lyrics too.
Step aside and watch me try to breathe life into your broken, tortured seams, covered up in doubts and self-defeat. Passing by unopened doors you hide, frightened by the good you want to choose, lost and somehow found yourself in the blues. Hard times cannot define you, really. You're broken in mind, and please next time spare secrets in the proof secretly, and believe. But don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night. Don't call me on your night off. 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 Recognize the toxic light they bring, pulling you along these winding streams. When are you going to choose you? Still passing by unopened doors you hide, gave you all the trust I had to lose. I can't teach you how to love you too. Hard times cannot define you, really. You're broken in mind, and please next time spare the secrets in the proof secretly, and believe. But don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night. Don't call me on your night off. Don't call me on your night off. call me on.
Thanks, y'all. All right, as promised, we'll listen to a little bit of this. And then I can't remember if I said this before I played that, but I basically wrote that song as kind of like an ode to self-care. Well, the way I describe it to people is an ode to self-care and like a practice for my personal self about setting boundaries and not letting people waste your time or, you know, be in control of your time. So the other way somebody, a colleague of mine listened to this and they're like, wow, this, if John Mayer was a Black woman, I think this would be the song that he would write. So I guess congrats to me on being the Black female John Mayer. But okay, so let's go back to Waves for a moment. And this is not as nearly as long as anything that we've listened to, so hopefully it will cooperate. Oh, I'm just looking at the chat. Thank you for immensely enjoying that and that thinking that it was spectacular. Thank you so much. I don't know if I could just get this to work.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
There it is. Wait.
There's a lot of renditions of this, so maybe this is it actually. Okay. Sorry. Did not mean to scare you. So thank you so much. Really, just the last thing I want to say is the unison horns that you're hearing at the end are actually not unison horns. This is supposed to be an extended technique in which you just blow into the horn, so it's supposed to sound like rushing waves. Yeah, but it needs to be workshopped and fixed in the notation, and there's no sound for that in the sound library. So that's me. That's my work. Thank you.